It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Siena Heights assistant women's basketball coach, Coach Niesha Lowe. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you
That's
talk
good.
about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
It's not the path that I had aligned for my life. However, the situation I went through, I just wanted to still be involved with the game of basketball. So coaching was the kind of way for me to go. And once I got into it, I got a passion for it. I love being around the game. I love being around the girls. So something I just stuck to.
Of course, what was that like getting to play collegiate basketball for Siena Heights?
It was quite the experience. I actually started out at a rival school, and getting to know the girls, like just playing against them and stuff. Like I thought it was a good fit for me. Like I reached out to some of the girls and I just like instantly connected with them, like on a family level. Like I felt like they were my sisters, outside of my home. So it really turned out to be like one of the best experiences I've ever had. So
Of course, as a player, what was that like getting to put on that basketball jersey and representing Siena Heights?
It's always been a dream of mine since I was a little kid and first picked up a basketball was to play at the collegiate level. So, being able to put on a Siena Heights jersey, like just being able to live out my dream, like making my mom's proud, making everyone in my family proud, like knowing that it's something that I worked so hard for like my entire life and being able to live out that goal and dream, which is like it's just an amazing feeling.
As a player, what were some of your accomplishments at Siena Heights?
Well, again, I transferred in after my sophomore year. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to play for the coach as long as I wish I could have. But the experience and all that stuff, like it took me places that I feel like if I wouldn't have made that transition to Siena, like I just probably wouldn't be like as successful as I am today.
Of course, what was that transition and that process like from transferring from one school to then Siena Heights?
It was actually very hard. As you know, the journey of being recruited out of high school and trying to get into a college to play is one journey within itself. So me trying to leave and basically start that process all over again, like it was very stressful and frustrating. But like I said before, getting to know the girls at Siena and getting to know the program, like I felt right at home and I fit in really well right away. So again, it turned out to be just a really good experience for me.
Of course, coming out of college of playing basketball, did you know that you wanted to become a basketball coach?
I did not. Again, coaching wasn't really something that I wanted to go into. I major in business and sports administration. So really my goal was to, after I was done playing basketball, was to be an athletic director. Unfortunately, again, my path was a little different. I actually played semi-pro when I graduated from Siena Heights. So I did that, and my goal was to actually get an agent, go overseas and play. Unfortunately, God had a different plan for my life. I had a son, so I had to take a different route, and basketball is just something that's been good to me like my entire life since I was probably in the third grade. So just still wanting to be around the game and be around the girls. So I jumped into coaching and I've been doing that for about 12 years now. So
Of course, what was that like getting to play semi-professionally and going overseas and playing?
it was awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't make it overseas. It was a sacrifice that I wasn't willing to make, knowing that I had a newborn kid at home. So being able to play semi-pro though, like it's a feeling that's unmatched because it's like you're one step closer to get into that goal to play professionally overseas. So having that experience, I met a lot of people. I got to network, built some great friendships that I still have today. And it was just a journey that the feeling is literally just unmatched. Like it's something that until you've been in that position, like you just don't know what it feels like.
What was that transition like for you from being a professional athlete to getting into coaching?
It was a bit of a transition, in a sense. I just want to play basketball, even at my old age now. Like I still want to play. So the struggle for me was the transition of turning off the player and turning on to the coach. So sometimes I would be trying to coach and I would forget that I'm a coach and not a player. And like I'm like jumping in drills and doing stuff, and I have to reel myself back in and be like, hey, these kids need to be taught. Like you have to teach them. You can't just throw them in a fire and expect them to succeed.
What was that feeling like getting to come back to your alma mater of Siena Heights and become a coach?
It was great actually. Being alum and coming back, obviously makes me familiar with the program. It makes recruiting and everything easier for me because I've actually been through the process. I actually played for the current head coach, so knowing her on the court and off the court, like it was really helpful in me being able to go back and give back to something that gave so much to me.
Of course, what was that like having that year gap between obviously when you were as a collegiate athlete to then going playing overseas semi-pro to then getting back to your alma mater?
I really didn't take the gap. I really just jumped right out the gate, running. And like, as soon as I graduated, I got the call to come for the tryout. I went for the tryout. I was blessed enough to make the team, and the season started immediately. So I really didn't get like any time in between to try to figure things out or any of that. Like it literally really just happened back to back.
Of course, how has that been like obviously balancing being that teammate to some of your team and then obviously coaching that team that you played with?
For me, it's easy because I'm a lot older than I look. So I can really give back to them, and me being through the process and me being at Siena and knowing the route and the goals that we're trying to accomplish and things like that. Like it was kind of easy a transition for me.
What are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish as an assistant coach from your time as a player?
Um, I think I've accomplished a lot. Not only am I assistant coach, but I'm also the recruiting coordinator and I do guard development. So, in the 2 years that I've been at Siena as the assistant coach full time, we've had two successful seasons. We had a kid that could potentially go play Division 1. We had a kid that graduates 4-time All-American. We've had a really successful season these past 2 years. Last year, we made it out to the national finals. So, in my short amount of time, not to sound cocky or anything, but I think I've really helped bring back to the program and help us to where we're trying to go with our goals.
Of course, what are some of your roles and responsibility as that recruitment coordinator?
So I'm out pretty much every weekend looking for new talent. Um, that's my main thing as a recruiting coordinator, just going out, meeting people, meeting families, talking to kids, talking to families, just trying to find kids that are the good fit. And I'm all over the place. I'm in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. I've been to Minnesota recruiting, Wisconsin recruiting. So really just getting out into the field and getting to know people and networking. So
Of course, what does that day in our life look like as the recruitment coordinator traveling to different states to recruit?
um it depends on how long the tournament is. So I'm really just getting up, I'm traveling, I'm sitting at a game, a tournament for 10 to 12 hours, depending on the tournament. And I'm just sitting there, I'm watching, I'm taking my notes, I'm talking to kids, I'm getting to know families. Maybe I'll stop and get some lunch if there's a game and I have a gap in between, but there's no guarantee. So normally I got snacks packed away in my bag. And if it's a 2-day tournament, I'm at the hotel after the tournament, get some dinner, and I'm back at it the same thing on Sunday. So it
Of
gets
course,
quite busy.
what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes when out on the road recruiting them?
Um, we look for student athletes, and I know this is cliche because everyone says it, but we really do want students first. Um, I'm a coach at an NAIA school, so a private school, and we don't have a ton of athletic money to give. So when I find kids that have good grades, on top of their athletic ability, it really makes it easier, because we can kind of get them together a really good financial aid package as long as they have good grades. So we really are looking for student athletes. We recruit families. It might sound weird or crazy or whatever you want to put it, but we want kids that are going to stick around for 4 years. So when I'm out recruiting, I'm also like observing and seeing how your family is behaving and acting in the stands. Like, are they clapping for just you, or are they clapping for everyone on the team? So there's different aspects we look for. The main thing is we want good students and we want good families and kids that are going to stick around for 4 years.
Of course, as a coach, what does that typical game day look like for you?
Um, Game day is different. It depends on if we're home or away. But overall, generally, I'm up in the office in the morning, probably going over last minute film stuff that I've probably watched film 7 times already from the same team all week. But I'll get up on game day. I'll still shoot through some film real quick, look over my scouting notes. We mainly go in for a shoot around at some point, just kind of so the girls can get their shots up, kind of go through some last minute out of bound plays or whatever it is that we need to do. I'll go home, I'll hang out with my son for a little bit, and back to the gym and preparing for game day. So
Of course, what are some of the rituals that you have as a coach from when you were a player?
I like to visualize, and it sounds crazy, but when I was in college, I took a sports psychology class. And now that I look back over it, with everything that's going on in the mental health field, it really was probably my best class. Um, it just taught me how to sit back and visualize the entire 40 minutes of a game and how it's going to be played out. So I find myself, even now as a coach, like when I go back into the office before the ball is going to tip off, I will sit in the office at my desk and I will just tune all the noise out. I close my eyes and I just play out how 40 minutes of how I want my girls to perform. So that's kind of something I did as a player, and it's kind of transitioned with me over to coaching.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for the women's basketball program?
We're trying to build a good culture. We have a really good culture now. My head coach has been there for 20 years and she's had much success. I think she's had probably 15 or 16 seasons that are 20 plus wins, which is very hard to do in college basketball. Being to the national tournament 6 times, we've just had a successful culture. However, basketball is a game that is evolving every day. So we are trying to evolve with it, just so we don't get left behind. So the culture we have like is amazing, but every day we're doing something to continuously try to build on that culture.
Of course, can you talk about, for you, what has that been like building that culture from being the player to now as an assistant coach?
Just family based, man. Like it was always, I again, that's what reeled me into Siena Heights. I just felt like it was family based. And now even as a coach, like our girls really consider each other sisters. Like for me, growing up, I mean, my mom's only child, so I didn't have other siblings in my house. So when I got to Siena, I really felt that energy of feeling like I belonged and I had sisters surrounded by me. So I think with that, like our girls are in the same boat. Like I can go in the gym at any moment and I'll see them just hanging out. Like even if it's not basketball related, like a sisterhood is really something that we preach. And I think our girls have bought into that system.
Who are some of the teams that you face in your conference each week?
So our conference is pretty tough. Rochester University, Indiana Tech University, Aquinas College, Lourdes University, University of Northern Western Ohio. We just added a new team this year, so Cleary University will be added to our conference as well. It's a pretty tough conference. Lawrence Tech University, it makes it tough in a sense. A lot of people that came out of Siena are around our conference. So, for instance, Lawrence Tech head coach actually paid for my current head coach right now. So it's always about doing our homework and doing our research and going out and trying to pull the best out of our girls every night. So we are in a pretty tough conference. We finished top three in the conference the last couple years. This year will be a challenge, obviously with all the changes and the COVID years and not knowing who's coming back and who's going. So we always look at it as a challenge. We always know that people are going to count us out, but those are things we look forward to. So we are prepared for those things.
Of course, for you as a coach, what is that like getting to face some of those teams that you as a player faced through your collegiate career?
Well, when I played, the conference was a little bit different. I think there was maybe only 8 teams, and now we have 12. So as a coach, I look forward to it because it's coaches that I've either played against or coaches that I went against. So Madonna University, their coach, they're in our conference, and I actually played against their head coach when I was a player. So those kind of things, it's not more so for bragging rights, but it's kind of for bragging rights because you just want to be like, oh, like, yeah, like I know your style, you know my style. Let's see who's gonna get the best of who. So it's always fun competition, but yeah, it's always something to look forward to. It's very exciting.
What is that home game atmosphere like at Siena Heights?
Our home game atmosphere is wonderful. As I said, like we've had a lot of success on the girls' side in the past. So a lot of the campus get out and come to our games, and we do something we call the halo effect. So we pick one game of the year, and it's pretty much every athlete on campus comes to that game. So it gets pretty rowdy. Our fans get really in tune, and of course, if we're winning, they're going crazy. And after every bucket, and it kind of turns our students up to play even harder. So I think they want to go out and not only be successful ourselves, but to represent Siena Heights. So it's a really good atmosphere.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate women's basketball?
I'll be honest with you right now, it's hard for high schoolers. With the COVID year, because again, with those COVID kids, the kids that get the fifth year, you don't know who's coming back and who's going. So for high school kids right now, I think it's hard for them to be recruited. Obviously, because college are going to dig into the portal to get kids for recruitment. So it's kind of in a sense, if you think about it, if you're a college coach, do you take a 17 or 18-year-old young lady who still needs to figure things out? Or do you go into the portal and you get a 21 or 22-year-old that has the experience and kind of know what they're getting themselves into? At Siena, we don't really do a lot of transfers. We have tried our hand at getting a couple, but we have a JV program. So for us, that's a benefit because those kids are prepared to play the varsity level. So really, there's no need for us to go into the portal to get kids. Not saying that we won't do it, but traditionally it's just not something that we've done in the past.
Of course, as an assistant coach, what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes when going to these basketball tournaments?
I'm looking at who's going to fit into our system. So we run a very fast-paced game. We average almost 80 points a game. So for us, I'm going to look at kids that could play with us. Like, can someone get up and down a court? Like, can they play the fast pace? Obviously, in college compared to high school, we have the shot clock. So it kind of speeds our game up a little bit. So when I'm out recruiting, I'm looking for, again, not only good student athletes, not only people that come from good families, but also kids that can fit into our system. So we don't want just kids that, because they can play basketball, like we want kids that can come in and fit into our system at Siena and what we're trying to do.
What does that official visit atmosphere look like at Siena Heights?
It's pretty fun actually. So we get them all set up and they come in, they meet with admissions to kind of go over the admission side of thing and a financial side of things. They get a campus tour, like we get jerseys out for them. They get to try the jerseys on. We like hang their names all on the bulletins around campus. And then we take them to lunch to meet with the girls. We send the recruits off to the girls because we know that our girls are going to keep it raw. Like if you have any questions, they're going to give it to you, whether it's positive, negative, whatever it is. They're not going to hold back. And then we sit off with the parents and we kind of get to know the family a little bit. And then after that, we just kind of gather back together and we just kind of go over what basketball would look like if that player was to sign with us.
As an assistant coach and an alma mater, what is that like getting to see those prospective student athletes get to put on that uniform that you put on as a player?
It's amazing. They don't realize it. And it might not just be Siena, it's probably freshmen all over the country, but they don't realize how much they're giving back to the game just as much as the game is given to them. Even for me personally, I didn't really realize what basketball did for my life until after I graduated. So it's definitely a journey. I don't think when they're going through the process when they're so young, they quite understand it. But to be able to see someone put on that same jersey that I wore and trying to accomplish the same goals that I tried to accomplish, like it's a really good feeling, especially knowing that it's a kid that I helped bring in because I saw something in them. So as a coach, it's a really good feeling to see a kid go through that process.
What is it like, obviously, getting to see those freshmen put on that uniform for the first time and your seniors putting it on for the last
For our seniors, it's super sad. Again, I'm only going into my third year as a full-time assistant, so I haven't had much experience in that area. However, I know with this past season, it is kids that I actually brought in when I was just a recruiter. So to see them go through the process and to finalize it, it's really a bittersweet moment because you really just want the best for them. You want to see them move on and be successful in life on and off the court. But it's also bittersweet because it's just sad. Like that's someone that help make your program successful and better. And to see them having to move on, like you just kind of miss them in a sense. So
Of course, as a coach, what is it like seeing those players go on and achieve great things, whether it's playing professional basketball, whether it's overseas or WNBA, or even going into the corporate world?
it's a good feeling. Like I said, like I want the best for all my kids. Anybody that comes through Siena Heights, I just absolutely from the bottom of my heart just want the best for them, whether it's on the court or off the court, just to be successful in life. But to know that I help prepare them for the next step, um, for me, it's a great feeling. Um, I am a mother, so when they get to campus, like these are like my babies. So not only are they my student athletes, but they're also my babies. So it's like an accomplishment to see them be able to walk that stage and get through life and knowing that we're a part of something so great.
Of course, for you as a coach, what was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto the court as a coach from going from being a player?
It was kind of surreal. Like I couldn't really fathom that. Like I was just running up and down this court, and now I'm sitting on the sidelines trying to give back to the game and teach someone how to be successful within these 94 feet. So it was a bit surreal. Like, of course, I was nervous. I had the butterflies, the bubble guts. Like, it's just like, oh my God, like, this is something that I work for. And now that I'm here, like, I just want to be successful. I don't want to make mistakes. I don't want to say or do the wrong thing. So it was a very nervous feeling. And to be honest, like, I still have that feeling. And I've been doing it for forever, but it's every game is different and you approach it different. And like, you just step on the sideline and you just want to be successful. So it's definitely a nervous feeling.
What are some of your future plans for the Siena Heights women's basketball program moving forward?
My number one future plan, and it's for myself, and I know we have it as a team, but a conference championship. It's something I feel like we've accomplished a little bit of everything, but that's something that we have not done yet. So right now in the off season, that's what we're preparing for, to prepare our bodies physically and mentally to be able to compete for a conference championship. There's so many times that we've been right there and it's just been snatched away from us. So that's that's my biggest goal that I have, is to bring in kids that are going to help us accomplish this goal. It's a goal that I had as a player, and now it's a goal that I have as a coach. So that's probably my biggest goal that I can think of, is to win a conference championship.
What advice would you give those freshmen that are entering their first year of collegiate women's basketball?
It's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey. Um, I don't think they realize the transition going from high school to college. You will adapt. Obviously, we as coaches saw something in you where we know that you could be successful coming through our program. So it is a transition. 9 times out of 10, that freshman was probably the best high school kid, the best high school kid on their varsity high school team. And now you're going into college where all 14 of these girls were the best kid on their high school team as well. So that's one thing I think they fail to realize. Just because you're the best, now you're going to play with the best and play against the best. So I think that transition is the biggest struggle with me as a coach, trying to help them navigate their way through that. But that is something that I find that a lot of freshmen struggle with, is just that transition, being away from home, living in a dorm with somebody you just met, being accustomed to stepping outside of your comfort zone, because that's what college is. It's going to make you uncomfortable. So being able to do that, and it's just a journey of transitions.
What advice would you give those seniors that are looking to play professional basketball, whether it's Athletes Unlimited, the WNBA, or even going overseas to play?
Just follow your dreams. Like sometimes people think because you come from a small school, that you don't have the possibility of playing professionally or going to play at a higher level. But I'm a product of that. I played at Siena Heights, which is a small school. And I was determined to go on to play to the next level. I wasn't going to let anyone deter me away from that. So I just kept working. After the season was over and I graduated, I just continued to work, and I got that call to come to the tryout, and I just jumped on it immediately. So just follow your dreams, like live in your dreams. Don't follow what everyone else is saying they think you should do, or what path someone else think you should take. If it's something that you want to do, there's so many avenues to get you there. Just if it's something you want to do, just follow your dream.
What advice would you give those players that are looking to get into college coaching like you did right after collegiately?
There's so many opportunities to get into coaching. I know for us personally, we send kids out to the Final Four every year, and they run a conference for young people that want to get into coaching. A lot of coaches don't know about this, but there's ample opportunities there. There's coaches from all over the country that are looking for GAs or looking for director of basketball operations. They're out there looking. Like there's so many jobs available, but you have to get out and look for them and find them, and doors will open. You might get a no 2 or 3 times, but don't let that stop you. Like just keep pushing at it. There's so many job openings and people wanting to get into coaching, and there's opportunities. You just have to go out and find them.
Of course, what advice would you give those future assistant coaches looking to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What advice would you give those assistant coaches looking to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
Again, there's just opportunities. There's a thing on Twitter, and they literally post job openings that are open every single day. There's probably 10 to 15 jobs that they post a day. So there's ample opportunities. Once the season is over is really when schools start looking for coaches. Once the season ends. So if you're really looking to get into coaching as an assistant coach, if you want to be a head coach and you feel like you're ready and you're prepared, like I would just say start reaching out to people because there's always jobs opening. You got to be able to network and communicate and reach out to people, and I'm pretty sure something will open up for anybody.
What advice would you give those people such as yourself that are looking to coach at their alma mater?
So when I was at Siena, I feel like I built good relationships. Obviously, I played for the coach that is currently still there. I think we had a good relationship. So knowing that I wanted to get into coaching, she called me up and the opportunity was there. So just be nice to people and be good to people. Like you never know what people are going through. Like just be kind. It's not that hard because later on in life, those people are the people that could open doors for you. So my really advice is to be kind to people. You just never know what people are going through. So
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Siena Heights women's basketball program at?
so we're on Twitter at SHUWBK. I'll be honest, I'm a bit older than I look, and social media is not really my thing. When I was growing up, we didn't have all the Instagram and TikToking and all that. So I do have a 12-year-old son, and my kids, they pretty much help me navigate through the social media world. So I am on Twitter. I don't even know my Twitter name, to be honest. But our school Twitter is at SHUWBK. It's the same name. We're on Facebook, Siena Heights Women's Basketball. And we're on Instagram as well at SHUWBK WBK.
Thank you again, Coach Niesha Lowe, for your interview and best of luck in your future as the assistant women's basketball coach for Siena Heights.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Niesha Lowe, for your interview and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.